Snake, you've got to rescue Dr. Emmerich, the Metal Gear engineer.
He's probably being held prisoner in the second-floor basement of the Warhead storage building.
Snake, you've got to rescue Dr. Emmerich, the Metal Gear engineer.
He's probably being held prisoner in the second-floor basement of the Warhead storage building.
Snake, divide and conquer. Try to take your enemies on one at a time.
That is a mine detector. It works by searching for metal objects. It will even find claymores that are hidden with optic stealth technology. It is set so that the position of the landmines will show up on your radar. All you have to do is equip the mine detector and keep an eye on your radar. Use it carefully.
You're incredible, Snake. You single-handedly beat an M1 tank.
No big deal. But I'll bet that VR simulator you trained on didn't have any scenarios that put you one-on-one against a tank, did it?
No. But there was no scenario where I had to work alone with a Special Forces soldier against a group of terrorists either.
In real life, things never go the way you expect them to, especially on a battlefield.
I'm already holed up in the Warhead storage building. It looks like Dr. Emmerich is still fine, but I'm not sure for how much longer. Hurry up this way, okay?
Be careful. You absolutely must not use weapons in that area.
I've already programmed the nanomachine so that he won't be able to, Colonel.
What? What are you talking about?
Have you forgotten? That's where they keep the nuclear warheads. Can't you see them?
Yeah. There's lots of boxes piled up in here, but are they all warheads?
Yes, they're all dismantled warheads.
They just leave them here? It's like President Baker said. Totally careless.
They're working on a limited budget. They try to put on a pretty face for the media, but this is the grim reality of it. Nastasha knows lots more about it than I do.
All of the warheads in those boxes have had their detonation mechanisms removed, so there's no fear of them exploding. But if the warheads are broken, they might leak plutonium, and that would be a serious problem.
Snake, never use your weapon on that floor. Snake, you've got to rescue Dr. Emmerich, the Metal Gear engineer.
He's probably being held prisoner in the second-floor basement of the Warhead storage building.
Snake, never use your weapon on that floor.
Dr. Emmerich should be in the laboratory area in the second-floor basement. Heavy arms fire in that area is strictly prohibited. An explosion could cause nuclear material to leak from one or more of the warheads, and that would be a very serious problem. Please be careful.
It looks like they're equipped with gas masks.
That's because they're not supposed to use heavy arms.
You mean they use chemical weapons instead?
When you're trying to hide, avoid places that look like the enemy might search. Think about how your enemy is going to move, and then sneak in there. It doesn't matter how smart you are, just use your head out there.
Snake, that is a nuclear warhead storage area.
Are all of these filled with nuclear warheads?
Yes. but their detonation mechanisms have been removed.
So I don't have to worry about this island turning into a pile of smoking rubble.
No. But if the casing is damaged, they may be leaking nuclear materials. Please, make sure you do not use your gun around there. Naturally, nuclear weapons contain plutonium. Most of the radiation emitted by plutonium isotopes consists of alpha rays. The ionization effects are strong, but if they are kept in containers, there is no danger of exposure. But if plutonium enters the body through breathing or other contact, it is quickly absorbed into the bones, liver, or gonad. After that, there is no way to remove it. Once that happens, the victim will be constantly exposed to it, and just 1/1,000,000th of a gram of plutonium can cause cancer. That is why a plutonium leak is such a serious danger. Make sure you do not use your gun anywhere near there. Scientists are currently using genetic engineering to try to create a microorganism capable of breaking down plutonium, but they have yet to demonstrate any success.
The plutonium version of bioremediation, huh? Instead of processing, what about reusing it? I thought that they were working on using dismantled plutonium for civilian applications.
For a time, it looked like there was going to be international cooperation for that. But unfortunately, there was too much mutual suspicion, and it all fell apart. The signing of START was a step in the right direction, but it created a flood of dismantled plutonium. Disposing of that plutonium safely is now the biggest challenge facing the world. Combustion in nuclear reactors, vitrification processing. Lots of suggestions have been made, but in reality, no effective solutions have been found. The signing of START was a step in the right direction, but it created a flood. It is just like Baker said, we are facing increasing danger from stored nuclear materials. You see, there are 3 elements necessary in the manufacture of nuclear weapons: nuclear materials, nuclear engineers, and manufacturing technology. All 3 of them can easily be acquired by either legal or illegal means, if you have enough money, that is. They say that there are 500,000 nuclear engineers in the world. But after the end of the Cold War, the demand for nuclear engineers dropped precipitously. In the Eastern Bloc countries, in particular, there is a tremendous brain drain. They cannot keep their scientists in the country, and each year, more and more nuclear engineers go to work for the highest bidder. Just like Baker said, each year, there are more and more cases of MUF coming from the nuclear material storage facilities. That stands for Material Unaccounted For. It means that someone is stealing nuclear materials and probably selling them on the black market. After the fall of the Soviet Union, the nuclear management program fell to pieces. In the late 1990s, there were rumors that nearly 100 suitcase-sized nuclear bombs mysteriously disappeared from the Soviet arsenal. We still do not know whether it is true or not, but it is possible that they fell into the hands of terrorists. Both the DARPA chief and President Baker still embrace the ideal of a strong America. They are enthusiastic advocates of the nuclear deterrence policy. The idea behind a nuclear standoff is that both countries would be too afraid to use a nuclear weapon for fear of a nuclear reprisal. In other words, the only thing preventing a country from totally devastating another country with nuclear weapons is the fear of a nuclear counterstrike. Those two probably feel that Metal Gear will further promote that security. The conservatives believe that as long as other countries have nuclear capability, they must maintain a credible deterrent. They are therefore opposed to the elimination of nuclear weapons. And with each new country that acquires nuclear capabilities, the need for maintaining that counterstrike threat increases.
As long as the nuclear deterrent policy continues, we'll never be rid of nuclear weapons. The theory of nuclear deterrence was born during the Cold War, at a time of great suspicion between the US and the USSR. The great gulf between the ideologies of East and West caused a dramatic escalation in the arms race. And this escalation of the arms race in turn fueled mutual distrust and fear between the world's two great superpowers. The last half of the 20th century was shaped by the policy of nuclear deterrence. But the world has changed. The Cold War has ended, and we are now living in a world where small, regional conflicts are breaking out all over. Things are not so simple anymore, and the policy of nuclear deterrence is obsolete. Most of these regional conflicts are the result of age-old enmities between different ethnic groups and religions. In those cases, the hatred often runs so deep that rationality is thrown out the window. For people such as them, the fear of a counterstrike often means little, and that is why the nuclear deterrence policy has lost much of its efficacy. A nuclear standoff is not a sufficient deterrent in the current world climate. The nuclear weapons disposal facility on Shadow Moses Island was built at the beginning of this century. It was made only to temporarily store the nuclear warheads.
Why? If they wanted to dispose of them, why wouldn't they just dismantle them right away?
They cannot do that. You see, when you dismantle a warhead, you still have nuclear materials that must be stored. At this point, all of the nuclear material storage facilities are way past capacity. But they could not stop dismantling weapons while at the same time pushing START 2.
So you're telling me that this base was built so they could temporarily avoid being in conflict with START 2?
Most people think that we live in a safer world now. But with all the dismantled nuclear weapons and waste around, the threat of nuclear terrorism has increased tremendously.
Ironic, isn't it?
After the START 2 Accord was signed on January 3, 1993, Russia and the US reduced their strategic nuclear warheads to between 3,000 and 3,500 warheads each. They completely dismantled all of the ICBMs which contained MIRVs. As a result of that, there are over 15,000 dismantled nuclear warheads waiting to be disposed of. The warheads are supposed to be dismantled at Pantex or some other dismantling facility, but there are limits to how many warheads they can process. We just don't have the capabilities to dismantle all the warheads that are out there. Over 200 tons of plutonium and over 1,000 tons of high-grade uranium have been removed from nuclear weapons so far. And on top of that, nuclear reactors all over the world continue to produce and leak spent nuclear fuel. According to one estimate, as of the year 2005, America alone was storing over 50,000 tons of nuclear material. There is no room left in our nuclear material storage sites. That is why we need nuclear weapons disposal facilities. They say that there are...
The less you maneuver a remote-controlled missile, the faster it will fly. Remember this if you want to fire the missile over a greater distance.
In war, a split second can mean the difference between victory and defeat. Don't ever hesitate. The slower you react, the greater the chance that you'll be beaten.
Dr. Emmerich is probably being held in his lab in the northeast part of that floor. They flooded the area with gas to prevent him from escaping. But there should be a gas mask on that floor too. If you use it, you'll be able to make it through easily.
Snake, watch out. That place is filled with gas. Also, the floor is electrified. First, destroy the high-voltage switch. It's the switchboard on the northwest wall.
But how? I can't reach it.
Use a remote-controlled missile.
For the time being, let's trust what that deep throat told us. Use a remote-controlled missile to destroy the switchboard in the northwest section of the Warhead Storage Building's second-floor basement.
That inner voice that warns you when danger is nearby? You can't learn that in training. You've got to have survived a few firefights, seen a few friends blown away, before you learn that trick.
The warheads are supposed to be dismantled at Pantex.
Deep throat? No, I don't know anyone who calls himself that.
I see.
I wonder why he's trying to help you.
I have no idea.
A trap?
Could be. But for the time being, I'll have to trust him.
You've got to rescue Dr. Emmerich and find out Metal Gear's weak point.
Isn't he being held in the laboratory in the northeast part of the floor you're on?
Soldiers who have learned their trade in the heat of real combat know how to sleep whenever and wherever they can. There's a big difference between...
The warheads are supposed...
Meryl, what are these holes in the walls for?
Yeah, that's an air cleaner. For blowing tiny particles of dust off people's bodies before they enter the lab. That's an air cleaner. For blowing...
Take this! It's a ghost.
Snake, Dr. Emmerich is being held just north of there.
You've got to rescue Dr. Emmerich and find out Metal Gear's weak point.
Isn't he being held in the laboratory in the northeast part of the floor you're on?
When you're trying to hide, avoid...
The theory of nuclear deterrence was born during the Cold War, at a time of great suspicion between the US and the USSR. The great gulf between the ideologies of East and West caused a dramatic escalation in the arms race. And this escalation of the arms race in turn fueled mutual distrust and fear between the world's two great superpowers. The last half of the 20th century was shaped by the policy of nuclear deterrence. But the world has changed. The Cold War has ended, and we are now living in a world where small, regional conflicts are breaking out all over. Things are not so simple anymore, and the policy of nuclear deterrence is obsolete. Most of these regional conflicts are the result of age-old enmities between different ethnic groups and religions. In those cases, the hatred often runs so deep that rationality is thrown out the window. For people such as them, the fear of a counterstrike often means little, and that is why the nuclear deterrence policy has lost much of its efficacy. A nuclear standoff is not a sufficient deterrent in the current world climate.
Stealth camouflage? Who are you?
Where is my friend?
What? What are you talking about? Oh, what next?
Snake.
Hey, you're that ninja.
I've been waiting for you, Snake.
Who are you?
Neither enemy nor friend. I am back from a world where such words are meaningless. I've removed all obstacles. Now you and I will battle to the death.
What do you want?
Oh, I've waited a long time for this day. Now I want to enjoy this moment.
What's with these guys? It's like one of my Japanese animes.
I've come from another world to battle with you.
What is it? Revenge?
It is nothing so trivial as revenge. A fight to the death with you. Only in that can my soul find respite. I will kill you, or you will kill me. It makes no difference. All right then. Watch from your box seat.
I need that man. Keep your hands off him.
Now, make me feel it. Make me feel alive again.
Look at him move. He must have some kind of powered exoskeleton.
Powered exoskeleton? You mean like prosthetic arms and legs?
No. There is a fundamental difference. Prosthetics are intended to compensate for lost body limbs. The exoskeleton replaces human flesh with machinery to produce a weapon more powerful than a mere human.
A war machine, huh?
I heard rumors about the experiments, but I had no idea that such a creature really existed. Look at him move. He must have...
If you have a question about members of Foxhound, you should ask Naomi.
I'm sorry, but there's no one in Foxhound like that. There are currently only 6 members of Foxhound. Psycho Mantis, Sniper Wolf, Vulcan Raven, Decoy Octopus, Revolver Ocelot, and finally, Liquid Snake. The Genome soldiers under his command are next-generation special forces. Foxhound is intended to be a small number of highly elite, hand-picked soldiers.
You're talking about the current Foxhound, right?
Yes.
Snake, who or what is that thing? Is he an enemy or not?
That's what I'd like to know. Naomi, you really don't have any idea?
Maybe I should ask you the same thing.
What?
Nothing. Forget about it.
Snake, he's obviously trying to provoke you.
He's just playing with you. Why don't you try throwing away your weapons?
Ninja? I've never heard of any member of Foxhound like that. But you're gonna have to do something about him if you want to save Dr. Emmerich.
Snake, you can't use your radar. It's confused by all the radio interference. That ninja is giving off some kind of electrical energy. Win, Snake, win!
That's good, Snake. Good. Now we can fight as warriors. Hand to hand. It is the basis of all combat. Only a fool trusts his life to a weapon. That's good, Snake. Snake, hurry up and catch me. I'm here, Snake. Where are you looking? Snake, hurry up and catch me. Like old times. I've been waiting for this pain.
Look at him move. He must...
He's just playing with you.
Snake, he's obviously trying to provoke.
Ninja? I've never heard...
Snake. Do you remember me now?
It can't be. You were killed in Zanzibar. What? Not again. What's happening?
I'm losing myself.
Is it over? Gray Fox. Colonel, that ninja is Gray Fox. No doubt about it.
Ridiculous. You yourself in Zanzibar land.
Yes. He should have been killed, but he's still alive.
What?
It happened before I joined Foxhound's medical staff. They were using a soldier for their gene therapy experiments.
I never heard that.
It happened right after you retired. My predecessor, Dr. Clark, was in charge.
Dr. Clark?
Yes. He started the gene therapy project.
And where is he now?
He was killed in an explosion in his lab 2 years ago.
So what about this soldier?
Apparently, for their test subject, they decided to use the body of a soldier who was recovered after the fall of Zanzibar land.
And that was Gray Fox?
But he was already dead.
Yes. But they revived him. They fitted him with a prototype exoskeleton and kept him drugged for 4 years while they experimented on him like a plaything. Today's genome soldiers were born from those experiments.
That's the sickest thing I've ever heard.
They used him to test all sorts of gene therapy techniques.
Naomi, why didn't you tell us about this sooner?
Because it's confidential information.
Is that the only reason?
Naomi, what happened to Gray Fox after that?
The record said he died in an accident.
I see. But even if that ninja is Gray Fox, the question is, why?
From what I could tell, he didn't know who he was.
You're saying he's just living off his will to fight?
I'm not sure, but he seems intent on fighting me to the death. We'll meet again. I know it.
So you'll fight again? Until you kill him?
I'd rather not, but maybe that's what he wants. How long are you gonna stay in there?
Huh? Are you one of them?
No, I'm not. I always work alone.
Alone? Are you an otaku too?
Come on, get out. We can't stay here forever.
Your uniform's different from theirs.
You're the Metal Gear Rex chief engineer, Hal Emmerich, right?
You know me?
I heard about you from Meryl.
Oh. So you're here to rescue me?
Sorry, but no. There's something that I've got to do first.
Oh. Well, at least you're not one of them.
Are you hurt?
I'm okay. I just twisted my ankle a little trying to get away.
Well, if that's all, it's nothing to worry about. I want to ask you something. I need information about Metal Gear.
Huh? Metal Gear?
Yeah. What's Metal Gear really designed for?
It's a mobile TMD. It's designed to shoot down nuclear missiles, only for defensive purposes, of course.
Liar! I already know that Metal Gear is nothing but a nuclear-equipped walking deathmobile.
Nuclear? What are you talking about?
The terrorists are planning to use Metal Gear to launch a nuclear missile. You telling me you didn't know?
Aren't they just trying to use the TMD missile module to launch a disabled nuclear warhead?
Wrong. From the beginning, the purpose of this exercise was to test Metal Gear's nuclear launch capability using a dummy nuclear warhead. The terrorists are just continuing the work you started.
No, you're wrong.
I heard it directly from your boss, Baker.
No. A nuclear missile on Rex?
So you really didn't know?
No. All the armament was built by a separate department, and the President personally supervised the final assembly with the main unit.
President Baker?
Yeah. I was never told exactly what they armed Rex with. I only know it's equipped with a Vulcan cannon, a laser, and a railgun.
A railgun, you said?
Yeah. It uses magnets to fire bullets at extremely high velocities. The technology was originally developed for the SDI system and later scrapped. We were successful in miniaturizing it in a joint venture between Arms Tech and Rivermore National Labs. The railgun is on Rex's right arm.
Metal Gear's main function is to launch nuclear missiles. You sure you're not forgetting something?
It's true that Metal Gear has a missile module on his back that can carry up to 8 missiles, but are you saying it was originally meant to carry nuclear missiles?
Yeah, but that's not all, I think. If Metal Gear fired only standard nuclear missiles, then they should already have all the practical data they need.
No. Could it be? Metal Gear's co-developer, Rivermore National Labs, was working on a new type of nuclear weapon. They were using NOVA and NIF laser nuclear fusion testing equipment and supercomputers.
So they developed a new type of nuclear weapon in a VR testing lab, huh?
Yes, but you can't use virtual data on a battlefield. They would need actual launch data. These are some of the supercomputers. If you link these, you can test everything in a virtual environment. But it's all just theoretical.
So, this exercise was designed to test the real thing.
What did our president do? If the terrorists launched that thing? No. Damn! Damn! I'm such a fool! It's all my fault! The truth is, my grandfather was part of the Manhattan Project. He suffered with the guilt for the rest of his life. And my father? He was born on August 6th, 1945.
The day of the Hiroshima bomb. God's got a sense of humor, all right.
3 generations of Emmerich men. We must have the curse of nuclear weapons written into our DNA. I used to think that I could use science to help mankind. But in the end, I was the one being used. Using science for peace? That's only in anime.
That's enough crying. Pull yourself together. Where is Metal Gear? Where on this base are they keeping it?
Rex is in the underground maintenance base,
Where's that?
north of the communications tower. But it's a long way there.
The emergency override system for the detonation code is there too?
Yeah, in the base's control room. You'd better hurry. If they were planning a launch from the start, then their ballistic program is probably finished. And since they haven't called for me in a few hours, they must not need me. In other words, they must be ready to launch.
Meryl's got the detonation code override keys. We'll link up with her.
If we can't override the launch, we'll have to destroy Rex. I'll show you the way.
On that leg of yours, you'll just slow me down.
You'll need me if you're gonna destroy Rex.
I don't need you. I just need your brain.
I created Rex. It's my right, my duty to destroy him.
If you get a chance, try to escape. When the coast is clear, I'll contact you by codec.
How am I supposed to escape from an island?
Okay.
So what then?
I want you to hide somewhere and keep me informed. You know this place well, don't you?
Of course I do. And don't worry, I've got this. It's the same stealth technology as the ninja. Foxhound was gonna use them, but with this I'll be fine. Bad leg and all.
Good. But I want Meryl to watch after you too. Meryl, the engineer's okay.
That's a relief.
I want you to look after him. Where are you now?
Very close. There she is. Oh no! Damn, they spotted me!
Meryl, what happened? Something's wrong.
Did you hear something? Wasn't that some kind of music?
What did she look like?
She was wearing the same green uniform as the terrorists. If she's disguised as the enemy, you'll have to contact her when she's alone, huh? There's only one place where we can be sure she's by herself.
Where's that?
Don't be so dense. Here, use this security card. It's security level 4.
You're not in pain, are you?
Huh?
You feel okay? Nothing bothering you?
What's wrong? You get all friendly all of a sudden.
No, nothing. Just glad you're okay.
You're strange.
I'm a little nervous. Everyone else I've saved suddenly dies.
You're bad luck.
Forget it, Doctor.
Call me Otacon.
Otacon?
It stands for Otaku Convention. An otaku is a guy like me who likes Japanimation. Japan was the first country to successfully make bipedal robots. They're still the best in the field of robotics.
And Japanese cartoons played some part in that?
They did. I didn't get into science to make nuclear weapons, you know.
Yeah, that's what all scientists say.
I became a scientist because I wanted to make robots like the ones in the Japanese animes. Really, it's true.
Sounds like an excuse to me.
You're right. We have to take responsibility. Science has progressed because there is war. And because of scientists' greed, weapons of mass destruction were born. But that's all over. I won't take part in murder anymore.
Whatever. All I want from you is information.
Sure, I know everything about this whole base. Ask me anything about Rex or about this place. Also, with this stealth camouflage, I can sneak in and out of the armory and mess hall. If you need ammo or rations, just tell me and I'll bring them to you. I'm on frequency 141.12. See you later.
Well, it looks like you've rescued Emmerich for the time being.
Yeah. With that stealth camouflage, he should be able to hide safely. Gray Fox. I can't believe it. But the real problem is your niece. The way the codec got cut off like that has me worried. Something must have happened to her.
You're worried? About Meryl?
Not exactly. It's just that she's holding the detonation code override keys. They're our last chance of stopping that nuclear launch.
You're a cold man. Your mission is more important than the life of your companions?
This is war. Survival is the name of the game. Sometimes you have to be cold to survive.
Yes, but...
Snake, either way, I want you to find Meryl as soon as possible.
I understand.
Didn't Meryl say that she's somewhere close by? Why don't you start by searching in that building?
Soldiers who have learned their trade in the heat of real combat know how to...
Otacon said that now it's possible to design and test new types of nuclear weapons in a virtual simulation without ever exploding a nuclear device. Is that true?
Yes, it's true. Since the establishment of DART, the Dual-Axis Radiographic Hydrodynamic Test Facility, and NIF, the National Ignition Facility, early in the 21st century, there's been a wealth of data concerning nuclear fission and fusion. There is also much data accumulated from the nuclear tests conducted over the last 4 decades. With the processing speed of today's supercomputers, they can design a new nuclear weapon through virtual reality computer simulations. In order to collect data for the simulation experiments, they're doing subcritical tests underground. Those are experiments in which they detonate high explosives in proximity to plutonium without setting off a critical chain reaction. They then measure the effect that the shock wave has on the plutonium. By measuring the particles which fly off the surface of the plutonium, they can learn the mass, speed, and distribution of the plutonium particles. The politicians insist that, whether it is above ground or below ground, a nuclear test which does not cause a nuclear explosion is not the nuclear test, and therefore does not violate the CTBT. A lot of people do not agree with that interpretation. The first subcritical test was performed on July 2nd, 1997 at the Nevada Nuclear Testing Facility. After that, subcritical testing became extremely common, not only in America, but in Russia and other countries too. They say that the reason for the tests is to ensure the safety and reliability of the existing nuclear stockpile. But that's nothing more than a flimsy cover story. In reality, the danger of a nuclear weapon exploding accidentally decreases over time. It is clear that the real reason for these tests is to aid in the development of new types of nuclear weapons. Even the government admits that the data collected from those tests is used in virtual reality simulation tests. That is amazing. Dr. Emmerich's father participated in the Manhattan Project?
That was the secret World War II project responsible for the creation of the first atomic bomb. It had a huge budget, something like $2 billion. They brought in 120,000 of the best and brightest scientists and engineers to work on it. And we all know how that story ended. In July of 1945, they exploded the first nuclear device at Trinity, followed shortly after by Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Trinity. The world was changed forever that day. Scientists and researchers could no longer pretend that their hands were clean of blood. Afterwards, the leader of the Manhattan Project, J. Robert Oppenheimer, said, "The physicists have known sin, and this is a knowledge which they cannot lose." When Dr. Emmerich designed the new Metal Gear prototype, he thought he was creating a mobile TMD system. He is a very naive man. TMD stands for Theater Missile Defense. They represent a shift in defense priorities from dealing with the threat of ICBMs from the former Soviet Union to dealing with small-scale regional conflicts in the Third World. Current TMD systems work by a combination of THAADs, Theater High-Altitude Air Defense, which intercept missiles outside of the atmosphere, and Patriot-type missiles, which intercept missiles within the atmosphere. Dr. Emmerich was planning on them using Metal Gear as a low-atmosphere mobile missile interceptor unit. There are many in Russia, as well as America, who are opposed to TMD systems because they say that it undermines the spirit of the ABM, the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty. And there are also those who say that the ABM Treaty is a dinosaur left over from the Cold War. They argue that the strategy of MAD should be maintained by limiting missile defense systems. There was a big debate over it, but ultimately, under pressure from the defense industry, who is looking to expand into new markets, TMD systems were accepted as an integral part of a modern military arsenal. As long as the strategy of nuclear deterrence continues, nuclear weapons may be reduced, but they will never be eliminated. If you think about it, nuclear reduction does not mean much without elimination as the ultimate goal. I used to work in the DIA. I figured the only way to achieve nuclear elimination was to work from the inside to convince them of the ineffectiveness of the deterrence theory.
Seems like you're pretty focused on that issue.
Victims of nuclear radiation are a sad thing to see, and I have seen a lot of it. I have seen more than enough of it. I was born and raised in Pripyat, Ukraine. I was 10 years old on that day, April 26, 1986.
You don't mean...
Yes, Chernobyl. That is the day that changed my life and thousands of other lives. I live just 3 kilometers north of there. 600,000 to 700,000 people were evacuated. Over 650,000 children suffered the effects of radiation poisoning. Between 1986 and 1993, 12,000 children died. My parents, and many others like them who helped in the cleanup, died a few years later from radiation sickness. We must rid this world of all nuclear weapons before they cause more misery, before they destroy the delicate environment that keeps us alive. I will not allow this pain and anxiety to pass on to yet another generation. They say that there are 500,000 nuclear engineers in the world. But after the end of the Cold War,
Snake, there's an old Chinese saying, "A scholar who cherishes the love of comfort is not fit to be deemed a scholar." Einstein said it another way. He said that only a life lived for others is worth living. That's why I entered MIT instead of CMU or Princeton like my friends. I wanted to do applied physics, not just theoretical stuff. I wanted to make things for people. the Soliton radar system, or the codec system. I just wanted to make something that would be useful for people. I think that it was the same for Dr. Emmerich, too. But he was used like a tool, used to make a horrible killing machine. Maybe it would be better if engineers like us just stopped making things. I don't know.
No, you're wrong. There's at least one person whose life has gotten better as a result of your inventions. Me.
Huh?
Without the codec, I wouldn't be able to talk to you like this.
Thanks, Snake.
You still haven't found Merrill? Snake, the warhead storage building that you're in has 1 floor above ground and 2 floors below ground. Why don't you search there, too?